At least they will be. Well, there we go. Hello, welcome to Workshop. It's Wednesday. God, it looked like the frame rate was being a bit wonky then for some reason to me. Don't know why. How is everyone, by the way? How are you all? I'll turn that down a bit. So, today, we're covering a requested topic. This topic's been requested so much. It is WebSockets and HTTP. So, yeah. And we're gonna cover some bits and pieces first, which is what is a WebSocket and what is HTTP post and get. So, as a simple example, HTTP post and get is what your standard web browser does. So it goes up to a website, it gets the data, pulls it. HTTP post sends data to a web server, like on a form, for example. So we could make, say, a contact form in Neos that uses HTTP post, and that could be sent off to a web server that has, say, PHP, JavaScript, and all that stuff. And that'll handle that data. However, a WebSocket is something a little bit different. WebSockets have a lot more overhead on them, for starts, because a WebSocket is a continuous connection where a client goes up to the server, it'll handshake with the server, which then creates a live data chain. So, say for example, Ryuvi's heart rate meter. That's a live data stream. So, you'd want that on a WebSocket. But if I want to get weather data from a website, which pulls a JSON down, I'll do that via a GET, because you don't need to have that open connection continuously. Turkey. I hope that explains at least the basics of it all. And as I say, when you should use a WebSocket and when you should use HTTP post and get. Because as I say, you don't need to be using WebSockets for just about everything. It's not just that. You need to script a WebSocket as well. You need to do the back-end programming for it. So, where should we start? Okay, let's go. Whee! I'll give you the camera, Ryuvi. Yep, I'll give myself the camera here. So, we're not really dealing with post right now because we had a... Oh, my finger's gone funny. Index controllers. Just let me... Come on, finger. There we go. Oh, hang on. Let me guess.
That also works too, and if people could hear me as well as regularly. And is it working? Hello? Hello?
There we go. We should have sound from Neos now.
Testing.
Okay,
1, 2, 3.
testing.
Am I audible?
You have to remember, I have done a reinstall.
Alright, okay.
So,
Great. I'm audible. Yay.
thankfully, you didn't have to... Thankfully, you didn't say much at the start.
That's why they didn't know.
Yeah, so, as Raivi said, there's not that many nodes when it comes down to HTTP and posting and all that other jazz. So we've got some examples set up here, and we're going to go over those logics. We're not covering the post logics because we had an issue with working with post. So we need to remember how that one works. We weren't able to post the data. So
but the node is there.
Yeah, but the node is there. So if you know how to use it, make use of it. But what we've got here is we've got a get string. So we've got our get string here, and we've got our URL. And what we're doing here is we're actually doing a get, but we are actually sending data, which is not the best way to do this. But if we pulse this, you can see here, test was sent, nothing was posted. So it's saying that it got the word test. So I'm going to change this now to say, oh, I don't know, moo. And this will say, moo was sent. Now, with a get string, you can do quite a lot of different things. A good example of something that I do with this is I have a PHP script set up that runs on my web server that allows me to view a list of sessions that are currently online, which is like this. And this uses the HTTP GET method to pull this data. It's just as simple as this. There's no parsing involved in this one. All the parsing's actually done on my own web server. So it's like all the colours and everything, that's all taken care of by the web server. It's a bit cheaty really, but you know, it's a lot easier. Ramper, Rave, CC Twitch plugin when. Yeah.
That would be nice.
It would be nice.
Out of date.
Yes, that one is. Because the web server, it uses the host user. And the host user doesn't allow this URL. So it can't update.
That also brings up an interesting point with HTTP POST-GET and anything that asks access to some external browser is if some nodes or anything is wanting to access this link for the first time, Nails will prompt you with a little pop-up asking if you want to allow this. And in the case for the headless, it doesn't have a UI, so it can't really accept that.
Yes, so what we'll do is, as I say, I'll give Ravy the camera for a moment while I quickly open this up.
Okay.
I can just show you just how simple this Logix actually is for this. Once I find my Logix tip, I should have put this on my hand. So we'll unpack it. The Logix really is that simple. It is exactly the same Logix we've got here.
Almost to a T.
Except for this. And this. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of the host user. and we will do a user from username. We'll connect this up, and I'll set this to me.
Hey, it updated.
Now we've got it updated.
Lovely.
Hey, look, Mum! I'm in the list!
There we are, 3 out of 1.
That seems a bit suspicious. But yeah, that's pretty much HTTP GET. Anyway, there's not really too much amazing stuff you could do with it, but yeah. Now, go on.
Oh, I was going to say, I wish I had more examples of HTTP post and GET, but it's not something I've used much myself. I more so use what we're going to cover next, which is WebSockets.
Yeah. This is something that, you know, loads of people ask about is WebSockets, and they're like, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? So, as I say, Rave, he's gonna cover WebSockets for you.
So, as Ray said earlier, a WebSocket is a two-way connection between Neos and some external program that you can send data to Neos and you can send data from Neos. This is useful for more real-time applications, like for instance, I have a heart rate sensor that I'm currently wearing, and I have a Python script running outside of Neos that is using a WebSocket connecting to Neos and sending my heart rate information and other things into Neos so that I can use it, manipulate it, and do whatever I want with it. In terms of WebSocket Logix nodes, there are only 4 of them. We have a node to connect a WebSocket, a node to tell you whether you've connected or disconnected, a node which gives you a message when you've received it, and a node to send a message to a WebSocket, or not necessarily a message, but any kind of data. Now, one thing to note is that the information that is sent to and from a WebSocket is always a string, so you will want to serialize or convert your data into a string before you send it, and you will have to parse it from a string once you receive it, which we will get to after this. Now, WebSockets have 2 paradigms to them. There's the Logix paradigm with your nodes and all of that, and there is a component aspect to WebSockets, and you need the component in order to use a WebSocket.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, actually. WebSockets is the only one that has the oddity that you use a component first. Hardly anything else you need a component to start with.
Yeah, it's unique, and I think that might be where folks get caught up. But in terms of the component and the usage of it, it's not too difficult once we get it done. So you can find the WebSocket component under your attached component, your node component browser, network, WebSocket client. And this component, given a URL and a user that will handle the updates, as well as a reason for one or not, then you can connect to a WebSocket if it's available, and the component will tell you if it's connected or not. And from here, you can hook this component up to the WebSocket nodes to get information. For instance, on this client, I'm going to put in the WebSocket URL of ws:// I believe it's just localhost, since I'm hosting this directly. And if I plug in myself as the user, this connects to my locally hosted WebSocket. Now, since this is localhost, which is the local computer, this will only work if I am the handling user, because if, for instance, Wraith is the handling user on this, Wraith doesn't have a local WebSocket running on this address. Well, you might. So it will not work for this reason. However, if you have a WebSocket that's running on some external server that's accessible by anyone, then the handling user in this case can be whoever it needs to be. But in my case here, it needs to be me. However, once we have a WebSocket address here, and it is connected and everything is fine, then we can use this component to get information.
There is one thing I
So-
will note about the WebSocket as well, is there is also WSS, which is WebSocket Secure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so not every if it doesn't work on WS, it might be that your WebSocket is a secure one, so it'll be WSS. But for most things, at least with the heart rate meters and stuff that we use, it usually uses WS because it's all localhost based, so it doesn't really need to be secure.
Good to know. Now, with our component here, we can pop out the interface card for it. And of course, this just provides everything that we have here on an interface card, but we're not interested in anything else except for the WebSocket header thing here itself. And given this, actually, we can take a look at some of these nodes. So if we plug the WebSocket component
I've just
into...
tightened the FOV. I've just tightened the FOV a bit for you because people.
Okay.
Paragon said, "Can we get a slightly lower FOV for readability?" So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I will keep that in
That's
mind.
why I scaled it up.
yep.
Good idea. Okay, so once we have the WebSocket component plugged into one of these nodes, for instance, the connection events node, which will tell you if it's connected or disconnected, if I change the URL here, then it will disconnect. And if I set it to the correct URL, it connects. So this node lets you know through logics. Instead of having to use this here, you can just have pulses directly telling you if it connects or disconnects.
Saves fire on trues, definitely.
Yes. And of course, the pulses come from your handling user as well, if you're curious. Now, alongside WebSocket connection events, if instead of placing the information on the component itself, you can do that through logics as well, given a WebSocket component. And let's see, let me go to my logics users just for demonstration. We can say host user. You plug in a user, which would become your handling user here, and you can plug in a URL so that if you have logics that needs to connect to a WebSocket, but you don't want to have someone open an inspector to do it, this is how you can do that. Now, in terms of sending and receiving information, there are two nodes for that, which is the message receiver and message sender.
Actually,
Of course, given-
hey, Ryuvi, do you want to make me the local handling user for this for a quick second? I'm
Sure.
going to quickly clear I'm going to clear my host handling.
All right.
Where's debug gone? Where's debug? Yeah, that's something else we should cover as well. Just thinking about it is the fact that you have all the web hosts in this. So I'm just gonna quickly switch to my POV, and I want to show my private UI. So inside your dashboard, you have a little magnifying glass. And what you could do here is you could bring up the debug window, and in here, under web hosts, you'll see all the web hosts that you've ever allowed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my local host one, and I'm going to see if I have another local host in there. God, I have so many. Yes, I do have an 8123. I do have a local host 8123 in there. Okay, so if now, there we go. So you can see here now I've got this warning, world, and it says warning. World is trying to access third-party hosts. Granting access can allow the third party to gather personal information such as your IP and geographic location. It'll say the target host with the address, and the reason here is WebSocket client. Now, we could make this say anything like, oh, heart rate meter, just to let you know that's the reason why you're going to allow it. So what you do is we'll press allow. And now, obviously, is connected isn't going to come up because, as Rayuvi said, I don't have this running on my system. So hopefully that just covers that very quickly while it was still on my mind. There we go.
One thing to note as well is the access reason string in the WebSocket client is the reason that it will show on the little pop-up window for the access connect.
Yep. So
ordeal.
swap that back to you now.
Boop. Well, it did connect and then it disconnected. Let's try that again.
And that little pop-up window also is very similar to the one that pops open when you click on a hyperlink in Neos.
There
Showing
we go.
the
Now I'm
link,
connected.
a reason, and if you're going to allow it or not. So, yeah.
One other thing that I think I overlooked on this component as well while we are here is the connect retry interval, which this will, every 10 seconds, if for some reason you're not connected, every whatever this interval is, number of seconds, it will try and reconnect. You can set that to a smaller number, larger number, whatever you need. Anyhow, back to where we are in the nodes. We have a WebSocket text message receiver and a text message sender. Now, the way that I have my local WebSocket client here set up is it will not give me a message until I send one, mainly because Python can sometimes be weird and I have yet to figure out how to make it send one without receiving, but I digress. So I'm just going to send it a dot, and the outputs of this node are when it starts sending, when it's sent, and if it errors in sending, and it gives you the send data back to you. So if I pulse this, on sent should be good. Yep. Which means up here, it should immediately send me something back. Which indeed it does, but you'll see, well, where is it? There's no string. And just like other nodes, if there is data here that is accessible from a pulse, this data that's on the output of these nodes has to be written and stored for later or used immediately. So for this, we are going to write this string to a string register, like so. And now, if I request this information, I get numbers. Lots of numbers, way more numbers than just a heart rate, because I'm actually using this WebSocket for a whole host of data that is parsable in a very specific way.
How do we make use of all that?
Well, we can make use of all of this information using the handy-dandy parse nodes. All of these, which are located in operators parsing. Aegis, can you tell us how to parse? I think you're muted, Aegis.
I was? Okay. So, we did cover parsing before, but to have a refresher, basically it's taking a string and recovers data from it that it can read. For example, an integer. So, say if I type in 10 days, well, it's not going to get it at first, but if it's a text form of like a number, it can get that number. And you can get a format provider and number styling as well too for it, but you can basically take the text, kind of take it apart with like other nodes as well, like subtracting, or I think, was it subtracting or no, it was adding string, messing around with the string nodes as well to kind of get like the specific parts of the string to kind of parse through, but essentially it's just taking data and parsing it depending on what it is, where like a color, a boolean, date and time, float, etc.
All sorts of data types. Now, there are a couple of, with parsing, there's, say, numbers like this, these make sense. They parse. There's no leading zeros, but you can actually adjust that with the number style if you want to include leading zeros or not. Which in the case of a number, it doesn't matter in this case because it's zeros. But in terms of these string nodes available in Logix, the nodes that I use the most personally, alongside parsing, is substring. Is to get a string within a certain range, for example. And a good example of that would be all of my data here. So say I want to get... the way that I formatted this is the first number is 4 numbers long, always. If it's not 4, then there's a space. And the next one is 16 long. So I know that I can move forward. My start point can be 5, and then the length can be 16, and I know I'm going to read exactly that number, which would be a float in this case. So our start would be 4. And our end would be 16. And these are characters. Also technically bytes. Or not 16, I think it's 8. Yes. Or no, 12. There you go. So now that that's parsed, you can just plug that into a float to get it from a string to a float, and there's your number. Now, of course, I use... with the culture that I'm in, I use decimal points as... or periods as decimal separators, but if you are in a culture that uses commas as the decimal separator, then this can manage that as well using the format provider. And all I'm doing for this huge string of data, which actually includes things like my heart rate variability, battery level of the heart rate monitor, as well as things like how much RAM am I using, how much RAM do I have total, what are all of the batteries of all of my Vive trackers, are the Vive trackers currently charging or not, all of that stuff. And I just have that parsed in here, and I have substring node after substring node after substring node, and I'm parsing it and retrieving all of this data. Since we don't yet have, for instance, JSON parsing, which would be great once we do, you do have to parse it manually, like this. However, it's not too difficult, especially if you have it in a format that is nice and readable. And say you're using a delimiter or a separator between your data points, then you can get the... Where is it here? We have empty string. I believe we have... You can replace strings. Yeah, you can get the index of a string. That's another node that I use quite often with parsing, is the index of a string. So say you have a delimiter and you're separating 2 bits of data with, say, a vertical pipe. You can use the index of string to find that, and that can be your starting point for a substring, for example. Kurumai has a question. Is there a string.split? Not necessarily, since string.split can return multiple elements and we don't have collections. However, you can use index of string and substring to get, say, the latter half or the latter quarter of a string. I might have missed those questions. Let's see. First... We do actually have some more questions I just missed by Kurumai. The first time I set up a WebSocket, I had to give it a pulse in the WebSocket connect node. After that, it automatically started and tried to connect every time I spawned the object. Why is this? How can I stop a client from trying to connect? So in terms of the WebSocket client, when you set up the information here, or you tell the WebSocket to connect through Logix, then if it's that user's first time to connect, it will prompt the user and it will not connect until the user accepts it. However, anytime after that, since the user is already accepting connections from that specific URL, they will automatically connect as long as they're the handling user. If you don't want the user to connect, you can clear the handling user field or set it to a user that has yet to connect. However, if you set it to a user that has yet to connect to this for the first time, it will prompt them for permission to connect.
Oh, Chunikoi, thank you for the 100 bits, by the way. That's much appreciated.
Very nice. So, Paragon of Insinuation also asked, what's the node for parsing binary? And the nodes for those underneath parsing are, well, binary can be a Boolean value. I think you are already setting them out here, yeah. Bool, float for bytes. You can parse bytes, characters. Let's see here, we have longs, uints, etc. But if you want to parse just a byte of binary information, then you can use a byte. I believe this supports binary. 8. It might be a character. Well, let's figure this out, because this is something interesting. Say you want to parse a binary number. That's not something I've actually messed with myself, so I think you're... Actually, Kuromai poses a good idea here. 0b... Nope, that's not binary. So if there is no... Actually, give me just a moment. You guys... There's an interesting thing here. Let's parse a integer, because integers are 64-bit. Plug this in, number style. Let's get rid of that starting bit. Oops. I do not know if we
There was
can directly
hex there,
parse.
though, I noticed.
I don't think we can directly parse binary, but we can parse hex numbers. So, for instance, FF is 255 in hex, or you could do 0b for 11. So we can parse hexadecimal. I do not believe we can directly parse binary unless you want to do it yourself with the Boolean parsing, 1 bit at a time.
Yeah. Oh, there was a question. Do you work for Neos? Yes, we work for Neos.
Yes, we are team members. Hello. Kurumai asks, so there is hex in 2 flavor, it seems. Yes, hex number and allow hex specifier, which I believe is that. Or no, hex is 0x? No, it's not. Okay. Some of these numbers I haven't used, so I'm not very familiar with, but yes, there are a bunch of different flavors of parsing.
Interesting.
And it doesn't take 0x, interestingly. The more you know. Oh, we can also parse currency, but this is off the topic of that. But, yeah. Well, it doesn't seem to want to.
It's integer.
Right. Or not. Oh well, so we do support hex parsing using hexadecimal numbers, but we don't directly support binary. But I guess that's why we have booleans if you need to parse just 1 bit on or off. And if you have a single character that you want to parse, you can choose character. I don't think that supports Unicode characters, but I think it does support multi-byte characters as well. But yeah. So this is really the gist to WebSockets and parsing and getString, postString. Okay. Wraith, do you think of anything else that I might have missed here?
Nothing that immediately springs to mind.
Hmm.
No.
Well, there is one thing, and I just completely forgot to cover this just a minute ago. But heading away from WebSockets, going back to HTTP GET and POST, there were a couple of nodes here that we didn't talk about, which is nodes to check if a URL for the local user, if that local user has allowed that URL or not, which is that little pop-up box asking you for permission, and if you are doing something with Logix and you're going to use a URL for something, and you need to request the host access to a URL before you start using it, then there is a node for this too, where you can give it a URL and a reason. It will pop up that dialog box for that user. We also have escaping and unescaping a URL data string from a URL, or putting it back.
Escaping and unescaping is quite important with data parsing because trying to think how to explain this, but when you send data to a web host, it doesn't support spaces. It'll put like %20, and like for ampersand and various other things, it will put some other characters like 1%, etc., and that will make them correct for that. Whereas unescape will then convert it back into a human readable format.
Okay. Good to know.
So yeah, if you are sending data out, always escape that data, ideally, because it will solve a lot of problems. And most of the programs and scripts that you use to handle the data coming in will understand what to do with it already. You will not need to do any additional parsing.
Also good to know. But aside from this, getString, WebSockets, and such, this covers pretty much it. WebSockets and such always sound like a very complicated thing, and of course on the Neo side of things, this is all there is to it, where you can connect, send data, receive data, parse it, and etc. However, for WebSockets and all of this other thing, this is just half of what these constitute, whereas the other half is external programs like a Python WebSocket or a web server hosting a PHP file, etc.
There is one thing actually that I will stress, because as I say, it was just mentioned here by Paragon. Lots of people do not seem to use the reason string. Yes, please use the access reason.
Yes, it'll save a lot of trouble for any users who are wanting to get access to that in the future.
Yeah, because sometimes I might see a pop-up and it just comes up saying this URL. Well, why? Why am I loading this URL?
What's the reason? Should I trust it?
Yeah. Going into back-end systems, though, there is, as I say, there is the heart rate meter script that's hosted on my personal GitHub. So you can use that as a WebSockets example if you want to. As I say, if you go to github.com/Ravesphere and then look for, I think it's called Neo stuff, I think. But you'll find some scripts in there that will help you along the way with WebSockets.
Very nice. Yeah, my local WebSocket script on the Python side of things is an absolute mess. So your script is much more suited for the public like that. Okay. Well, I believe from here, if there's nothing else no other further questions, then the rest of the stream will be a general question and answer.
Yeah, we've got 20 minutes for a bit of a Q&A, so yeah.
So, if you have questions about WebSockets, HTTP post and GET, how to use the data, how to parse a specific kind of data, or anything else for that matter, now's a good time to ask. I'm gonna float here, behind the desk.
Yeah. Paragon says, I impulsively click deny and then it never shows up until remember where to reset the override.
Which you can reset those overrides, I believe, in the debug menu, correct?
Yes. As I said, that is in the debug menu under web hosts.
Good to know.
Yeah. And yeah, as I say, this has been something we've been asked to cover, and every time we've skirted around it. And then it was like a couple of weeks ago when you were away, actually. People were like, oh, is it WebSockets this week? And we're like, no.
Oh. Well, WebSockets.
WebSockets and web data.
I suppose one thing to mention as well is that if you know someone who wanted to learn about WebSockets this week, but they weren't able to make it, don't worry. These videos are going to be available on YouTube from here on after.
Yep. Oh no, now my thumb's gone funny.
Oh no.
I'm
Can't lift
switching
your
this
thumb
controller.
up. Why did you glue your thumb to your hand?
I don't know.
Oh.
There we go. No. Ah, there we go. So, Hydraborn says, what is to stop someone from making a giant jumble of code and saving that to the inventory if activated will overload people's systems? Logix has protections, and it will actually break itself first.
Yep. So if you try and run an infinite loop on someone, it will break before anything like that happens.
Yep. That's when you start seeing red Logix nodes.
Which, if you didn't know, a Logix node that turns red in a chain means that Logix node reached an exception. And you can just press secondary on that node to reset it.
Yep.
Might I also add, in general, you, as like either people with permissions to change these settings, or as the world host, you can self-moderate your sessions within the session menu of your dashboard.
That does bleed over nicely into permissions. You can very much prevent this if you have users who are joining who might not be a contact, you might not trust. You can put them as guest or a spectator even, and they won't be able to spawn out these potentially dangerous things in the first place.
You can even limit them to not spawn in their avatar, to spawn in a default avatar, whether it be the general Neos default avatar or a avatar template of your choice.
Exactly.
It's good for game worlds as well, too.
Flair VRC, are you guys collaborating with Meta's Metaverse? I see Metaverse in your channel description. Oh, hell no!
Nope.
No. No. We were using the term metaverse before meta was meta.
Yep.
Well,
the
actually,
first person
it was
to really coin that is Snow Crash.
It was funny. We were actually using metaverse. Yeah, we've been using metaverse for like way before metaverse was even a buzzword.
A long time.
Yeah. Because we were originally known as Neos the Metaverse. And then we dropped the Metaverse part, and now we're just Neos.
And it's not just Neos VR, you also got people on desktop in here too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give some ideas on WebSocket projects? Oh, you could do what I said before. Scoreboard,
weather
heart rate monitor,
heart rate monitor.
So you have a custom piece of hardware, you can do that. Home automation. I think I know at least one person who's using a WebSocket or HTTP to control lights in their house. Yes.
Big Red does that to control their air conditioning and everything. Yes.
So they can control, things that are automated in their home without ever having to leave Neos at all, which that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that
is pretty cool. I should do that.
Where are we? Flair VRC. If you are coming into Neos, by the way, join our Discord. And we do have mentors around who are more than happy to help you. Zvetkin in chat is one of our mentors, actually. That's a good question from Hydrobones. I like that one. Is there currently a way to auto-wear a specific avatar when going into a game so you don't have to pull it out of your inventory every time you go onto the game or join a world. Yes.
Yes.
If in your inventory, you have a little lightning bolt. Actually, let's quickly get into a folder with some avatars in it. On your main Neos inventory, when you click on an avatar, I'll just come around here now. So if I click on an avatar, you'll see here we've got the little heart symbol on your inventory. When you press that, that sets that avatar to your default favourite avatar. That saves you having to spawn... Well, to save you also having to spawn it in, you can also click on it and click the little lightning bolt, and that will equip that avatar. I hope that helps.
Very good question.
Oh, geez. Stapler. Yes.
Stapler.
Yeah, as I say, there is a basics that we did quite a while ago. It's on Fruxis's YouTube channel, but it isn't on the Workshop Wednesday playlist because it's not part of the Workshop Wednesday series.
We also covered permissions as well in depth as well on
Yes.
Workshop Wednesday.
Yes.
So, same with parsing as well.
Joining's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have special rules on our Discord. You don't have to click an I agree or anything like that.
Nope.
I think there is already a Twitch WebSocket for changing avatar. There might be. Someone might have created one.
Ooh. That'd be neat.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, is to have a Twitch command where I could type !! turkey and it turns Ravy into a cooked turkey. Right, Bones, do you have a toggle that disables others' inventory items? I find it very annoying when someone random who joins a creator's Patreon joins my world and flings me with a Wii remote. What you could do there is you can automatically have users become spectator when they join your world, which means they can't do anything.
Yep, they wouldn't be able to spawn that out in the first place.
Yep. Would it be possible to send a camera feed to a WebSocket? No.
No.
Unfortunately...
What you could do is have an RTMP stream as a link sent through there.
Yeah, unfortunately, the WebSockets are... And actually, this was something we should cover, actually. It's the HTTP GET post and WebSockets are all data-based. There's no image or anything like that. You can use URLs in images, though, if you set a texture and use... And where it says URL, you can actually, instead of it being neosdb : // blah da 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 da, you can actually put a URL in there. Yeah.
One thing to note in specific about about all of these nodes is that the data that is sent to and from them is a serialized string. Unfortunately, we don't have raw binary sending, which would be necessary for a camera feed like that. However, if it's information like a string or maybe even a serialized image, if you serialize it and convert it to a string, then you can use it for that. Stapler.
I've not loaded on my screen. There we go. There we go, Kuro. Now I'm a stapler.
Chunk. I should become one too.
I see AOG in the...
Yes. Yeah, OG's like, yeah!
Let's see. Would it be reasonable to serialize audio data? I would say no, because you can't unserialize that data in Neos, and you also can't serialize it from Neos.
Yeah.
I thought of a couple other uses for WebSockets as well too. Of course I mentioned Weather app, but say you can get images from a Google search. I remember someone did that, where it takes
Oh.
like a search term, you type it up, and it pulls up the first few images that you can scroll through in Google.
That
And someone
actually
also did
reminds
that
me.
with an
Quite
AI
interesting.
generator too.
This actually reminds me of something actually that I did. I actually made that Neo's Pictures website, and one of the group members actually did, if I can ever find it.
Ooh.
They actually converted it into an actual standard system. Although the pictures aren't loading.
Checkerboard.
But this
Oh, wow.
pulls from URLs on the web. It might just be the server's down. I think the server's down for that though, unfortunately.
Aw.
Elmino, thank you for that tier 1, by the way. Much appreciated. Ding!
Mm-hmm.
God. No, it's got nothing. It could be, actually. Yeah, it could be. No, it shouldn't be. Could be. I don't know. I've
Have
slept.
to take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it at some point. If you're streaming, especially, I just advise you to keep your world on spectator mode. Seriously.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Saves you a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Now, if you need to give certain people on there who you know are going to behave, you can give them permissions greater than spectator at that point.
Yeah.
And not only the world host can moderate a world, other people who have the proper permissions can also moderate said session as well too.
Yep.
But with the permission system, you can also control how much those different roles can do as well. It's not set in stone.
Yeah, there is a lot you can change. It's like you can even restrict, as I say, standard users from spawning anything using that.
Or you can unrestrict a spectator from, say, using a local mirror.
Yes.
A lot more details for permissions. I highly recommend check out the workshop ones that we did on it
Yeah.
on Frux's channel.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm just reading what was said in chat there. And to be honest, I'd be quite pissed too. Especially if I've put a lot of work in. And then, to suddenly, get removed from a platform.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I've seen it happen to a lot of people with SL where they've been banned. And it's like, the worst bit about that is they've probably put like thousands of dollars into the platform at this point, and then they're just removed. Can you also swap builder and moderator permissions? That's something I believe isn't covered. Yeah, we don't really cover that so much, but you could, yes.
Yeah. We have covered permissions before. However, because we are currently running on a headless client in this world, the permissions of a world when you're currently in it can only be edited by the, I think by the host or the owner
Correct.
of the world.
It's the host.
Yes, so at that point you could absolutely do that. You just take the permissions and swap them between the different roles and such, and there you go.
You can even rename the roles.
Yes,
Not
but
that I
it is not
advise it.
recommended. I do not advise it either.
No, because there are some people have created tools that look at the role names as well. But yeah,
I don't know
it's
if any of those work anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. What's your favourite dumbest thing?
There's so many things.
There's too many.
They're all good. Everything the community makes is great.
There's too many things to list.
The front look of the mantled beast. Yes.
Well, not again.
Whoa.
Looking at it from this angle,
I can't.
just like
can't
on
even
the
see.
camera, it's just
Okay. To be fair, that's pretty good.
Ah, my head's gone!
you spawned in a singularity. Now
You can
what?
do that.
Right. Is it difficult to upload an avatar? No, drag and drop.
I think we covered
a
a
matter of-
whole
yes.
importing an avatar episode on that.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
Yep, go look for Workshop Wednesday. Just search for Neos Workshop Wednesday on Twitter.
Whoa.
I was going to say Twitter then. Twit. YouTube! Look it up on YouTube. We do have a whole tutorial on there on how to upload an avatar.
Yep.
And if you have-
Rules.
And if you have problems finding our stuff, Google, search for Probable Prime on YouTube.
Yes.
Over 200 tutorial videos. Great.
Too many.
Not
Did
enough.
someone say pain? I'm gonna put my pain into your soul.
Also, the TLDR for importing an avatar is if you have the raw files, drag and drop them onto Neos. There you go.
Yeah.
FBX,
is simple.
GLTF.
Also,
OBJ.
if you're not 100% sure on it, a lot of people do say do have like templates.
Yes. So
Okay,
there,
just for Paragon, triple kill.
says the stapler.
Yes. Monster kill.
Good. Chuniko asks, how can you import animations on FBX models? Well, if you have the animations, if you make an FBX or a model with animations, and you export the model with those animations baked in, Neos will import that and its animations. No steps required.
Unreal Tournament reference, actually. That's where that originally came from.
UT2K4.
Where is it? Where is it? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? I know he was
I'm
in
right
here
here.
somewhere.
Aha.
Not you.
Well, just to demonstrate animations on models, here's a door that opens and closes.
It just imports right away.
The one thing is, if you are importing an avatar with an animator in it from, say, Mixamo or something, make sure you do not import the IK.
Specken says, doesn't it only import one animation on the model? So if you have multiple, some are lost? I don't know. Is that
So-
the case?
Yeah, it takes the first one I can find, but how
Okay.
I've went around that is I have like a multiplexer, like as a multiplexer. Let me just put that on like a. Oh, I forgot the singulators. Singularity.
The singulator.
Singulator. Yes, stapulator. So, if I recall, where is it again?
See, how about exporting animations? I don't believe we would have any
yes.
means of exporting animations, no.
So, I'm setting multiplexer animation clips. So, I would just basically set up each individual animation separately as like a model, import them individually, and then just drag and drop the animation clip in there, and then you just assign this little thing there on the animation component, and then you can just swap it using this index number. We've done this before for the Meta movie. I remember that.
Claire asks a question. Can you use avatar controllers to achieve the same thing like toggles and texture changes? Absolutely. So it's sort of. It's an analog. In Neos here, we have context menus, and you can create custom context menu buttons and interactions to do whatever you want. You found Frugs.
Talking about animations, so I felt it was relevant.
Quite relevant. Always relevant.
Spin.
But yeah, you can, oh yeah, there you go. I'm
Nice.
just gonna bring a camera in on me for a minute. Where are we? Smooth POV, Wraith.
Actually,
If you look, I have a little. Ah, that's smooth POV on
you
my
put it on me.
I can go into avatar toggles on here, and I can change like my shapes. This has all been set up on this avatar, so I can change parts of the avatar. I can do puppeteering, toggle parts. I can show my arm fluff and everything. And this was all made in Neos.
Like how I have a context menu item to toggle some armor, and I look like this.
Yep.
Mouth.
Are you messing with the animation on that? Yes, he is. Yeah, Ryuvi's eye tracking uses UIX, yes.
Yeah, it's UIX canvases. Don't ask how I did it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I like that. I love that goddamn expression, Ryuvi. That simple eye thing. It's not simple, though.
No.
Anyway, we have come upon the hour.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you what, actually, this one's gone quick.
I agree.
I didn't even realise.
Lots of questions. Love the questions.
Yeah, I did not realise. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for coming and joining us. I'm so glad we've actually been able to finally cover something that, I've been wanting to cover for a while, actually. Like, Fruits, could you go over there, please? You're getting in Ryuvi's way. Flair, if you make an account, please feel free to reach out.
It's also free.
It's free, and we'll more than happily help you. And provide when you start up, if you you get an option of learn on my own or learn with someone on the front screen. If you click whichever one it is, it'll actually send you into our metaverse, into our MTC, the Metaverse Training Center.
The training center.
Which will be, and then it'll make that world publicly open. And mentors are like, oh god. They're like, I'm trying to think. They're like angry bees. They see an
Very
MTC.
helpful,
The
angry
community's like that, actually. They hoard. They see a MTC session and everyone flocks to it to go help. Thank you for the 100 bits again. That is much, much, much appreciated. Mentor or helper, but very helpful. Yes.
Good. Yes.
So, we're going to disappear now.
Yep.
As I say, thanks all for watching. This has been the workshop. Thank you to Ryuvi and Aegis for being here assisting me as usual. We'll return in not 2 weeks.
Not 2 weeks?
No. I'm away next week from Thursday until Tuesday. So I can't guarantee that there will be a workshop. There might be. Maybe we get next.
It might be 3 weeks.
Yeah, maybe we get next one to host it. We'll see.
Also, in the meantime, this world will be open for some time after this stream. So if you have further questions or you want to come talk to us directly, come on in.
We won't be able to do it out the lodge, OG. It'll be too late. I'll be on the way home. Okay. Is the full body setup in the public? Full body setup is in your dashboard. So yeah.
You can
Anyway,
calibrate your avatar at any time.
Anyway, we're gonna go. So, bye bye.
Bye.
See you soon.